is great to have you with us here on this fine Monday. I'm Brian Schnee. Thanks for joining us on Arc Salt Lake. We're midway through April now. Tonight we're taking a deep dive into the case involving Kent Cody Barlow. Name probably sounds familiar. We've talked a lot about Kent Barlow on this program before. And Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Halloran is standing by. We will chat in a few minutes. And we're also following the health update of John Absy, the original Utah Jazz Bear. We'll get to that a little bit later. Jury selection underway in the trial of Kent Cody Barlow, almost 3 years since the crash that killed Hunter Jackson and Odin Ratliff out in Eagle Mountain. Prosecutors say Barlow was going more than 120 miles per hour, high on meth that day that the boys died. And after several setbacks in the case, the families aren't just more than ready for this trial to begin, but to end at this point. Ariel Harrison with the latest.
There's lots of emotional breakdowns.
In the years leading up to this point of the case,
I don't even have words to describe it.
the mothers of Hunter and Odin opened up about their grief.
We take it one day at a time. We talk with Odin's family often, so we're not exactly alone in it.
The only thing I can say is that it's heartbreaking. The end result is I held my son dead in my arms, and no parent should ever have to go through that.
On May 2nd, 2022, the family's lives changed forever when a vehicle driven by Kent Cody Barlow came barreling off this Eagle Mountain road, killing the boys instantly as they played in the sand.
You were on scene that day.
Yeah, it was a really challenging experience for many people that were there.
Retired Utah County Sheriff Sergeant Spencer Cannon shared his relief hearing the case is finally moving forward.
It's unusual to see a case take this long.
After Barlow's arrest, the defense team filed dozens of motions delaying the case. Then a new prosecutor was elected who moved to upgrade the charges. After that, the lead defense attorney experienced deaths in his own family and requested to withdraw from the case. And finally, a new judge stepped in after the original judge retired.
You know, I think what we all end up wanting is we want to have something that's going to make us finally feel better. Well, that's not going to happen. These families have suffered an unimaginable loss.
Well, Kent Cody Barlow faces 2 counts of first-degree murder. Jury selection expected to continue through midweek with the trial to begin on Thursday. Investigative reporter Wendy Halloran with us tonight. Wendy, you've been investigating this for years. I mean, this case has been moving through something and then gets stalled for whatever reason for 3+ years at this point. And the trial, not really his first encounter with law enforcement. We're talking about Kent Cody Barlow, and we have body camera video of his arrest from back in 2019. What exactly came from that years prior? What do you remember from the 2019 case?
So the 2019 case, he was high on methamphetamine, same thing that he's accused of being high on in this particular case, and he led Draper police and Cottonwood Heights police on a high-speed chase through residential neighborhoods going upwards of 100 miles an hour before they finally, got him under control. Right before the chase, he had stolen a police car. He actually got in and basically stole the police car and led them on this high-speed chase. He has had a very severe drug addiction. And we're not just talking methamphetamine, we're talking cocaine as well. We're talking, very hardcore drugs in this situation. And he had a lot of theft convictions, to feed his habit. So out of that case, he was actually sent to prison for that case. He was convicted in that case, got a plea deal, and unfortunately some of the drug charges in that case were dismissed in accordance with the plea deal. The Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill dismissed a couple of felony drug charges that would have sent him to prison for longer. And then maybe he would have gotten the treatment that he needed back then, but he was out pretty quickly. The parole board, paroled him.
Well, you've done a number of pieces on not just Kent Cody Barlow, but others that are repeat offenders that will get out and offend again, and it's a sort of a vicious cycle there. But in Kent Cody Barlow's case, why do you believe he was granted parole so many times before this specific incident we're talking about with what took place in Eagle Mountain that day?
Well, I think he put on a good appearance before the parole board. That's exactly what I think. That is my opinion from listening to multiple audio recordings that I obtained from the parole board during the hearings. So he put out this plea that he was, he was getting better and he was going to do good. He was going to do good. He was going to do the right thing and clean up his act, and he certainly did not do that.
So why has it taken 3 years to prosecute Barlow for these crimes?
So this case is, some people would argue that it's complex, but the prosecution, which is Jeff Gray, the Utah County Attorney, Ryan McBride is the lead prosecutor on this case, along with Michael Stars. When he was first charged, it was under David Levitt, who was the Utah County Attorney at the time, and he was charged with manslaughter, 2 counts of manslaughter. And Mr. Levitt dismissed the DUI and all of the other cases that would be, charges that would be enhancements, if you will. And then Levitt lost his bid for re-election, and incoming Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray decided to amend the charges. And this is where it gets really interesting, where the proceedings started all over again. He decided that he wanted Barlow to be charged with first-degree murder, 2 counts of first-degree murder under a depraved indifference theory. Now that means it's not like first-degree murder where it's premeditated, where you have malice aforethought, that you planned this out. You planned to kill these children. That's not what he's charged with. Depraved indifference means that they have GPS evidence that shows that Barlow was on that same road in Eagle Mountain earlier that day driving. He knew the speed limit. He knew there was a stop sign there. He knew there was a horse corral there. He knew there was like a softball field. He knew there were a lot of people around that road. And instead, he chose later in that day to drive 123 miles an hour when he was extremely high on methamphetamine. And that SUV became a projectile off of the road, through the stop sign, through the middle of Cedar Valley Stables, all the way through the middle, upside down, and hit a cement stake and landed on the roof. So he knew the circumstances before. So that's the theory. Now, the prosecution does not want the jury to look at it as first-degree murder, like premeditated. So they had a hearing a couple weeks ago about the language. And the language is this: the judge decided, now it's Judge Derek Pullen now, a different judge. It was previously Judge Robert Lund. But he decided that they would call it depraved indifference murder instead of telling the jury it's first-degree murder. It's still first-degree murder, but it's called depraved indifference murder because he knew that his actions could potentially cause harm.
Couldn't you see any more possible hang-ups at this point with where we are and how long this has already taken?
I don't see any right now at all. No, this is definitely going forward. There was jury selection started today. I don't see any more hang-ups. The reason there were hang-ups, if you will, or perhaps delays, is Kent Cody Barlow had a great criminal defense attorney, public defender Ben Aldana. A lot of people would argue that he engaged in delay tactics. However, he was doing what a great defense attorney does, doing everything he can to uncover everything, from looking at Brady material, potential Brady material from any of the officers who had, touched the scene. Did they have any dirt? Did they have any misconduct? Did they mishandle evidence? And that does come up in this case. And so he filed a series of motions after motions after motions. And there's a phrase, and it's, I don't like using this, but there's a phrase called death by motions. These motions take a long time to hear, for a judge to hear and to put on your evidence. So when Jeff Gray amended the charges and then they went forward, they had a preliminary hearing, and then the judge determined that he could be charged. He bound him over for trial on the first-degree murder charges for both Hunter and Odin. There you're seeing Odin right there and Hunter right there, both 3 years old when they were killed. That started the process all over again. So then later on with Mr. Aldana, he suffered, unfortunately and very sadly, 2 deaths in his family, his father and his father-in-law, in the course of 2 weeks. And he asked to be withdrawn from the case. He asked Judge Lund to withdraw as Barlow's counsel from the case. Judge Lund said no. Then Mr. Aldana appealed to the Utah Supreme Court, and the Utah Supreme Court ruled that Judge Lund had exceeded his discretion because he was suffering from a mental health crisis at the time, and he couldn't defend Mr. Barlow the way that he needed to be defended.
Lots to this case, lots of nuances. Wendy, we could probably talk about this forever, but we're up against it, and I know that a lot of your coverage is on our website right now, KUTV.com, as you've very well documented through everything you've mentioned to me and everything we've talked about on past here in this program. It is all up there on our website, KUTV.com. Wendy, thank you.
Absolutely.
Still ahead here on Arc Salt Lake. When he was a Jazz Bear, he was fearless, but nothing prepared him for the fight against pancreatic cancer. Kristen Kenny catches up with John Absy, the original Utah Jazz Bear, next. Utah Jazz leaders are speaking about what's next for the team. This comes after they solidified themselves as the worst team in the NBA.
I just want to make sure that while we're going through this developmental phase, that we're giving all of our young players the best opportunity to grow based on what we surround them with.
With the Jazz's record, the team is guaranteed the first, second, or third pick in the first round of the NBA draft. This year's draft lottery is slated for May 12th. Two other teams fighting for a high round pick, the Wizards and the Hornets. He made fans laugh for over 2 decades as the original Utah Jazz Bear, but today, The state is honoring John Absy for something much deeper. Governor Spencer Cox has officially declared April 14th as John Absy Day, as Absy faces his biggest battle yet, pancreatic cancer. Kristen Kenny sat down with him during one of his treatments for an intimate look at his fight.
Most people know John Absy as the original jazz bear, making jazz fans laugh for over 2 decades. But today, we're getting an intimate side inside this hyperbaric chamber, doing whatever it takes to fight pancreatic cancer. First of all, how are you feeling?
I feel good. I feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, as weird as that is, yeah. Just being injured so much when I was doing my job is that I'm just used to pain, or I'm just used to being sore all the time.
When he was Jazz Bear, he was fearless. But nothing prepared him for this fight.
I did a lot of stupid stuff that scared me, but nothing has scared me more than the thought of, not being able to beat this.
Diagnosed with pancreatic cancer a month ago, Absy turned to holistic healing, fasting, juicing, and alternative therapies like this.
I come here twice a day and do the hyperbaric chamber twice a day, and what it does is it pumps oxygen into my body, like it pushes it into my tissues and stuff. Tuesday's going to be a big day for me. Find out whether or not it's moved into my liver.
Okay.
And if it's moved into my liver, then things change completely for me.
For so many years, John, you have been bringing joy to so many people, children with illnesses, visiting the various hospitals throughout the years. What has that perspective brought you?
I saw 8-year-olds and 6-year-olds, with worse stuff than I'm dealing with right now, and they were still smiling. If they can do it, I can do it.
We're here for one reason and one reason alone, and that's John Absy.
Yeah. April 14th, John Absy Day. What do you want people to know about this day?
I just want people to realize how important your health is, and I really want to be an advocate to try and get people to start thinking about that.
For more on John Absy's battle and how you can help, visit KUTV.com. Kristen Kenny, KUTV 2 News.
The 2 News Diaper Drive is brought to you by Cypress Credit Union, Utah Honda Dealers, and Mountain Home Services.
The 2 News Diaper Drive is back. From now until Mother's Day, you can take diaper donations to any Cypress Credit Union or your local Utah Honda dealer. You can also scan that QR code on your screen or go to our website, KUTV.com, to make a cash donation. For each $10 donation, you can help supply a Utah family with at least 25 diapers. All right, let's get to the forecast with meteorologist Sean Kelly here. We're just figuring out some golf plans.
That's right.
When we've been looking at your
maybe one
your
more ski day.
Here. And maybe another ski day.
Yeah.
I would like to. By the way, go ski if you can, because the reason why resorts close, because you're not skiing. That is where it really lies.
When there's still a lot of snow up there, despite the melting, despite the warm temperatures, there's still a good, healthy snowpack here. It could be better, but we've got more snow heading our way, believe it or not, for the mountains. And it's hard to think about when we're back up into the middle 60s, back up above normal. But yes, we've got some colder temperatures here in the days ahead. So get outside and enjoy the sunshine here while it lasts. This will be a great evening for grilling, being outdoors, going for that walk here, maybe after dinner time, dealing with temperatures right now into the 60s. You'll see Price there at 66, 66 in Delta, 65 in Milford, 83 still in St. George, 70s in Moab. You'll notice the increase in clouds. Tomorrow, we'll see a little bit more of a cloudier sky, especially down towards the southern half of the state. We've got a few spot showers over New Mexico and into portions of Arizona. Meanwhile, again, here's that spot shower tomorrow south of I-70. Not a big deal, not going to amount to much, but we will start to see increasing clouds and maybe a little bit of a slighter, better chance for a spot shower too, including up towards the north here as we get into Thursday. But here comes the storm, though. As we get into Thursday morning, cold front moves in. That will bring in the cold temperatures. This will be a strong front. So it will bring us some snow up into the mountains, with snow levels dropping to maybe as low as the benches, maybe even seeing a few mix of rain and snowflakes possibly across some of those higher valleys. As we get into Thursday afternoon and evening, notice that rain down towards the central and southern part of the state. So this will be a statewide storm. it could potentially linger on for a few days. That's what one model is showing, that we see that mix of rain and snow for Friday, maybe as late as the middle of the day on Saturday. That's a possibility here, so watch out for that. In the meantime, it looks like we'll see at least colder weather, unsettled weather, valleys likely seeing all rain here, 1/4 of an inch to maybe over a 1/2 inch. In the mountains could see some healthy snow with maybe some of the benches there picking up a dusting of snow. That'll be a possibility. 1/2 foot over to maybe over a foot of snow there. So the ski resorts, loving that for many of the resorts that'll be closing for this upcoming weekend. You can get out and enjoy some fresh snow and some fresh turns. We're into the 40s and 30s as we head into the overnight. Highs tomorrow, beautiful. We're into the 70s for highs here. St. George, you have 80s for the day tomorrow and into Wednesday. Thursday down into the 70s. Friday, a little bit cooler even for you in St. George, and looking absolutely fantastic for Easter Sunday there along the Wasatch Front. We've kind of got to deal with this roller coaster ride as well. We're into the 70s, then the 50s Thursday and Friday with unsettled weather. Saturday drying things out, warming things up for Easter Sunday. So Easter Sunday looking good here. Temperatures tomorrow looking great for golf as well. Thursday and Friday, though, a little bit iffy with some colder temperatures there.
Yeah, I mean, this is the typical spring ride here in Utah.
That is,
so
yeah.
We'll get back up into the 70s before we know. It was nice to open up the windows this weekend a little bit.
It is, yeah.
Air the house out there, work on that spring cleaning. So
some yard work, too.
Some yard work. This was the good time of the year to do it before, especially when we get some extra moisture here. We could always use that, so that's encouraging to see.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sean. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, the NCAA football national champs visiting the White House. Why Vice President J.D. Vance says he fumbled the meet and greet. More than 100 potential guide dogs and volunteers spending time in Newark over the weekend for a special training program. The pups navigated through the terminal, security checkpoints, gates, and baggage claim. They also hopped on the air train, boarded a United Airlines plane, and visited the airfield.
Yeah, organizers say the training program is a great way to prepare the young guide dogs for their future.
Ohio State University football team visiting the White House today following their win over Notre Dame. That was back in January. During the ceremony, Vice President J.D. Vance attempts to pick up the trophy, and it doesn't get good from, yep, it's heavy. Oh no. That thing just breaks in half. I actually hadn't seen the video until now. I was waiting for this very moment, but apparently the trophy didn't actually break. It's designed to come apart. The part that hit the ground is far less valuable as the base than the trophy itself.
You can see the memes now.
Yes.
Well, Vance, who is a former Ohio senator and Ohio State alumni, responded to the video, posting on X, "I didn't want anyone after Ohio State to get the trophy, so I decided to break it." Look at that.
See you tomorrow night.